Moving to our next presentation, and we have a dual presentation. And we're going to be talking about something rather fascinating. Disrupt the disruptor. I love that idea. Transforming infrastructure to stay close to your customer. And we're going to hear from two individuals. The first one is a client of the second one. And the first speaker will be Søren Dandanell, who is the co-founder and chief business development officer at Cloudeon. And we're going to hear they're a very strong 2-year-old, fabulous growth service provider that owns no hardware, owns no servers, working in the hybrid cloud enablement space. And they're using a partner, Lenovo, in their hybrid cloud architecture. And the second presenter is Ljungström, who is the hybrid cloud lead architect for EMEA at Lenovo Data Center. So, could I ask both Søren and Per to please join me on stage?
Thanks. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Søren Dandanell. I am one of the co-founders of Cloudeon.com, a Danish cloud-only company. We, as I said, is a cloud company. We started 2 years ago, just 3 people. Today we are 75 people. We have 2 locations in Denmark. We are starting up in the UK as well, here in March. Next week, actually, we're launching at another expo show in London. And our vision is to become a global leader in empowering companies to compete in a pure digital software-driven world. So you might ask yourself, why did Lenovo ask a company like Cloudeon to present on stage with them? Well, I guess over the future years, we will see a multi-hybrid setup from enterprise companies that will consist of both legacy on-prem, public cloud, and all bound together through Azure Stack. At least that's how we see the world. And we have been teaming up with Lenovo from the beginning, and we've been building a lot of systems with these guys, both on-prem Azure Pack before Azure Stack arrived, and now we're delivering a solution based on multi-hybrid setups with Azure Public Cloud and Azure Stack. The problem, at least as we see it from Cloudeon, is that we, over the years, IT and business have grown apart. The business see increasing competition from new companies with a digital mindset. And how does enterprise actually compete with that? New companies starting across the street without any data center legacy, without anything they have to control themselves, they can just start pure digital. We've all heard the solutions and the companies before, the Netflix solution, the Uber solution, and what these guys did. They don't own one server, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what we're looking at for the future. So that's one of our problems. A true digital company, at least from my point of view, they are able to react on real-time data and even predictive analysis. A true digital company has automated their IT, not just a little bit, but 100% end-to-end. A true digital company has established a technological foundation that fuels innovative experimentation with IT so that they're able to deliver new products and services at a very, very high speed. So, how do we solve that? What we did from the start at Cloudeon was to, next slide, yeah, the solution. We need to move away from being a pre-digital company to being a full-blown digital company. And that requires 3 main things. One thing is you need a dynamic cloud foundation with the possibility of doing pilots as code without the use of any infrastructure. Secondly, we need a software factory where developers and operations work as one unit, you might know it as DevOps, and where infrastructure projects are no longer in focus. We need a digital highway for data exchange between the old Mode 1 world and the new Mode 2 world. Because without data from the on-prem legacy systems, the new systems might not be worth anything. So we still need both worlds. This will be the multi-hybrid setup that we will look into for the next 3 to 5 years. You might know this one. What we've been doing, at least for the last 20, 25 years, we've always started building up hardware, because before we can do anything, we need hardware to build our solutions on. So we start with the infrastructure, and then we decide what platform to put on top of it, and then by the end, we might be able to run our software, either own developed or out-of-the-box software. We have another approach to this, saying that, okay, if someone already developed the service that we need, start there. Even though it might only fulfill 90% of your requirements, start with software as a service if possible. If you need to develop software, and you do, because enterprise companies will differentiate by developing new services to their clients, then start on platform as a service, because all the exciting building blocks are in platform as a service. There are services there we won't ever be able to create in our own data center. And only as a last option, spin up a VM in infrastructure as a service, because we would still need that for some systems. That's the approach we feel that would be very much appreciated for the enterprise companies in the future to go. So, if we try and visualize it a bit, you might know this model from Gartner as well, where we have the Mode 1 model to the left, traditional waterfall models, ITIL processes, gated governance, enterprise IT, the way we've all been working for the last many years. We're not trying to close down this world, because these systems will have to work for many years to come. But we need to help enterprise companies build a new digital strategy. And why? Because if you don't do it, the new company starting across the street that I mentioned before, they will do it for you, and thus you will lose your business. So we need to be able to facilitate the journey going from Mode 1 to Mode 2. The way we try doing that in Cloudeon is to have the Mode 2, the Mode 2 digital house to the right, where we, as a consulting company, help enterprise build their Mode 2 strategy. And that requires technology, but most of all, it requires some organizational readiness, because if you've been working with Mode 1 IT for a very long time, how do you work with cloud and microservices? It's a totally different world. I think Gartner, they have a model where they say that 93% of all obstacles going to the cloud is not focused on technology. It's processes and people. So how successful will we be if we only introduce and deliver a digital platform saying to the cloud, here it is, go ahead, if we do not take people into consideration? So what we did at Cloudeon is that we designed a cloud journey. We designed a digital journey consisting of a variety of tracks involving the whole organizational readiness as a part of this journey. And then we bind it together with the Mode 1 world. And this is where our partners from Lenovo play a very essential role, because here we use the Azure Stack as in the middle of between solution, between their on-prem solution and the public cloud solution. Because we need to be able to do both. Sometimes the client might still have systems that will work better in the Mode 1 environment. Sometimes they might have services that will work perfect on public cloud, but for some reason, legislation or other, they still need to have the data on-prem. Their Azure Stack is a perfect choice. And for some solutions, they just need to be able to do it in the public cloud. So the Cloudeon Digital Factory is a framework that we use when advising enterprise customers going into the cloud and adopting new services. We also believe that we, as an IT company, as a trusted advisor, we also, as a company, have to develop ourselves. So what we did is that we developed our own tool called Ops AI. And what it does is it gives us an analysis of the existing infrastructure at the clients, including dependencies. And what it will do, essentially, is that it can automate transition and it can automate operations. So we as a company want to promote our own software as a services tool to the enterprise as well. And here the Ops AI product and other products will be a very important factor for us in establishing the transparency in going to the cloud. What's it going to cost us when we go to the cloud? That's a question we get all the time. Cloud is too expensive. We already tried it. It didn't work. I can do it cheaper on-prem. Sometimes you might be able to do that. Sometimes you might not be able to do it. And this tool will help us figure out, together with the client, what's up and what's down. What's it going to cost us when we move these SQL servers into the cloud? Are they going to run an infrastructure as a service? Are they going to run as a platform service? So we get a whole landscape picture of where they are and where they should be in a month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months from now. The last thing that I would say, I'm missing a slide, but who cares? I had a nice slide with a dog on it, a big dog and a small dog. What I wanted to say is that we need to think big, people. We need to start small, and we need to be able to scale very fast. That's what we're here to do. With these words, I would like to hand over the mic to Per Ljungström from Lenovo. I have a breakout session at 3:15 in a conference room called Circus Celebration. I don't know if I have to wear a clown suit to be there, but it's called Circus Celebration. Will be available for further conversation, should you want it. Per, please.
Thank you.
The stage is yours.
Thank you, Søren. Thank you for a nice introduction to what we have been doing for past 1.5 years or so. We have been working together. So what I'm going to tell you about right now is how do we engage with these kind of cloud hybrid solutions through our hardware value points. So at Lenovo, we have a concept called Think Agile. So Think Agile is a rack-based solution. We can do it on rack, but primarily it will be delivered as a rack-based solution where the Think systems, individual components from Lenovo, no matter if it's servers, its network, or its storage, will be integrated in the final solution. So Think Agile is a future-defined data center concept where the software will drive the entire Think system instances inside the rack. So you can look at this as a final concept where we from the factory will be building a final solution including all the components, be it networking, cabling, servers, and storage. And when I'm saying storage, it's a converged system fulfilling a hyper-converged solution in total. One of them is Azure Stack, and I will come back to that later on. So looking at the latest Global Cloud Index reports, Gartner and IDC predicts that within 2021, we will see that 96% of the consumer edge connectivity will be found in the edge connection. So only 4 to 6% will be running in the data center itself. So those services, for instance, you can imagine you're using your mobile phone and you need an app service. You download an app service to attend this event. You maybe want to share some wallet between friends. You don't consider about how these apps are actually being served. So these apps can be served in any kind of cloud connectivity to be found, and you don't care. You just need the service. So the consumer business, they are looking for services like this. And they don't care if they have to run it in their own data center or they want to run it, or they need to run it in a cloud-connected connectivity. And maybe they want to do it as a hybrid connectivity in between the data center on-premise with features to be found in the cloud as well. And if you look at these predictions, you can see that this consumer business will put a lot of money in this business rather than doing a development of their own enterprise data center. For example, take a look at Amazon, how they're doing business. So, competing with Walmart in US, why did they do that? They are connected to the service. They are connected to the app service in your mobile phone, tablet, whatever, how you're connecting. And they will analyze that data. And they will look for how behaviors are outcomes of the connectivity. And that artificial intelligence code, they can now figure out where to put the next business. So that could be post-delivery services. For instance, if you look at what Amazon is doing, what kind of business they have, they did this analytics, intelligence, integration in the software they have because they're connected to your device, and then they analyzed where to put the money in the next business. And that is how the consumer business will run for the next upcoming years. And they don't care about where the data is running. So where do you see yourself today as a managed service provider, and how do you want to engage to ensure your business in the future? So what I'm presenting here right now, this is not something I did. This is from a report from IDC where they are trying to predict what will happen until 21. So the data center transformation needs to be CIO driven. Why do I say that? So the CIO needs the staff, the architects, to work out a solution which is business enabled and will lead the business through the technology towards the CIO so they can make the money. So you need to be operational, efficiency around your operations. You need to be able to predict how to expand further in the future. I've been working in the MSP section for around 15, 20 years, building data centers. I've done the security, I'm a networking guy, I'm a checkpoint security guy as well. And I spent a lot of time there, and whenever my CIO was asking, how do we ramp up the business, how should we invest for the next upcoming 6 months or 12 months, several times we invested in equipment we didn't need because we were not able to predict how much hardware and software networking we were going to be used for the next 6 or 12 months. So we over-provisioned a lot of time. So with the solutions in Think Agile, we have concepts on software with artificial intelligence that can actually report back to the CIO for the upcoming next months, 3 months, 1 month, 6 months, whatever. So the CIO will now know how much he should invest further for serving the expansion of the business, because the artificial intelligence inside the code can make an analytics of what's going on inside the system. And what about the hardware? It needs to fit within the applications, right? So we will see there will be a high demand of accelerated computing. GPUs will take a lot of the workload from the CPUs. You will see that we will do co-engineered solution that fits within the application. So we are recalculating that several times per year or per quarter based on the solution. And the solutions we are inventing, we're not doing this only by ourselves. We're doing this with the software developers as well. So for Think Agile for Azure Stack, you will see that everything we have done past 2 years for Azure Stack is done together with Microsoft engineers. So these guys co-engineered, thousands of engineers worked on these systems to deliver what Azure Stack can do today. So it's quite sophisticated. But only by working together with these companies, we can build up a very flexible solution where we, with fast deployment and predictable performance, can serve the application services the customers are asking for. So whenever it comes into delivery to the customer, we need to engage with the business unit. So the business unit would lead, will be able to sell the solution to the customer. And we need these services because that is what the customers are asking for. They're asking for services. They're not asking for virtual machines. They're not asking for, am I going to use all flash? Am I going to use a hybrid solution among spinning drives and NVMEs and so on? They're asking about services. I need this within this time. And I need to expand because my business is running international. So the geo expansion is quite important. So coming back to the Azure Stack, you will see that through the geo expansion, we will be able to very fast integrate the on-premise Azure, but on-premise within the Azure Stack solution, not only in one country, but shared among different countries, using the same ARM template, the Azure Resource Manager, to control the applications and marketplace services we have downloaded. So digital transformation is a journey, and we all need to take part of that. So if you take a look at what we're doing inside the Lenovo Think Agile solutions, right now we are serving 100 gig Ethernet easily in our network switches, which is integrated in the systems. But we're heading for 200 gig and 400 gig Ethernet network because we need it. And you will also see that we are coming up with solutions where we can serve up to 1 petabyte in 1U soon. It's hard to believe, but it's true. You will also see that because we are delivering a lot of hardware to the main cloud services providers to be found in the world, we have built special servers which could actually just fit a regular market within our Think Agile solution. That could be special NVMe units holding up to 40 units, 40 NVMe hardware solutions inside each of the servers. It could be 1 petabyte of SSDs inside 1U. It could be 200 gig network, and so forth. But when we ship it out of the factory, we will ensure that the software is driving the platform. So you don't have to consider about software-defined networking, virtual machine-based level. Everything will be to be found inside the software stack we're going to load on the system. And that is what is underpinning a flexible future-defined data center. So IDC is saying that we need to think different. We need to think about a digital native enterprise solution, and the model they are defining in their reports is a DX model. So the DX model is an API-enabled platform where the key objective will be the data inside the system, the ecosystem. And the network will bind all these solutions together and take out that metadata, put it into AI, artificial intelligence engines, and analyze the data. Even the data is unstructured. Those companies who are able to create this AI software, they will be able to sell the value points within that data stream. So can you imagine, like your brain, it's connected with a neural network. A lot of connections inside your brain are analyzing the data, and there's an outcome. That will be the same. So when we are getting connected with more cloud services in hybrid mode, you'll see that all that data flowing around in the network, integrated in hybrid connectivity, that data value inside there is the value point. So it needs to be hybrid plugged. And that is the DX model predicted by IDC. So back to the Think Agile concept. We have built a co-engineered, expertly simplified solution integrated with network, software-defined network, hybrid storage, running inside the hypervisors you choose. So it's not only about the Think Agile SX concept from Microsoft, which is the Azure Stack. We also have this solution running with Acropolis hypervisor from Nutanix. We have an entire Nutanix Think Agile solution shipped out of factory. Everything is pre-installed. You just plug it in the wall and you run. We also have this for other hypervisors like VMware. Each of the concepts are delivered with a co-engineered software stack delivered by the hypervisor provider. The benefit of this is that you will have a lower cost of your investment because you don't need to consider how to do cabling, talk to the storage vendor, talk to the network vendor. How about the network integration? Do I need this kind of cable or this kind of cable? And so on. Everything is shipped out of factory. You're just buying it as a black box. And you also reduce the security risk because everything is to be found inside the system. For instance, Azure Stack, it has it all. All the security requirements you do find, especially within the US government rules, fits within the Azure Stack. It's just there, delivered to you. You don't have to think about it. And that's what gives you the benefit of faster time to value. So the Think Agile Azure Stack concept that Cloudeon is benefiting on is a simplified hybrid cloud solution where everything is to be found as well. So whenever we spin up the environment, right now we are installing around 1 Azure Stack per week. In EMEA, it's going fast right now. And whenever the systems are up and running, you can start serving your tenants. That way around, you will be able to serve a future-defined data center in hybrid connected mode. Even customers who are 100% Azure connected right now, but then might have a requirement for having the data staying local. So normally I'm working in the Nordics, so I have customers in, for instance, in Norway. A lot of the data there cannot leave the country, so it needs to stay local. And Azure Stack is one solution that integrate with these requirements or satisfy these requirements very easily. So we continue to develop these systems. So if we need more speed in the systems, we will do that with the co-engineered co-engineer team in Seattle, and we're sitting there every day and working with Microsoft to ramp up the functionality and the speed within the systems. So be it Spectrum, Meltdown, whatever, we are doing our best together with Microsoft to solve these kind of problems. So, I was thinking just before I went on stage, we have company A, company B, and company C, and you're doing all the same, right? You're trying to build a future-defined data center. You're trying to invent your own kind of cloud business, but you're doing the same. And the outcome of that, sometimes you're successful, sometimes you're doing incorrect investments, and so on. You have to think about the Think Agile concepts. These solutions, we have thousands of engineers, not working only from Lenovo, but different vendors. Among them, Microsoft, could be SoftLayer from IBM, it could be AWS, VMware, whatever. You'll see that we're working together to build the best solution so you don't have to consider about that. Use it as an appliance, use it as a tool to deliver your services. That's what's matters in the future. I'm also thinking about we're not owing the operating systems, right? So when you're building up your cloud, you depend on the operating system provider to serve you, right? So let's say you're building your private cloud. We were talking about the Microsoft private cloud on-premise, on Azure Pack, with services on top, no matter what kind of service we are talking about. If the service provider is going to discontinue that service, what will you do? You do not own the operating system. So that's kind of an interesting discussion to go into and consider what to do in the future. If you're not going to preserve the way you believe or you think for the future, how you will be served for the next 5 years might not be true. But if you work together with their supplier with an integrated hybrid connectivity solution like the Azure Stack to Azure, you can be sure that Microsoft will be able to support that platform of the future because they own part of it. So that's the end of my presentation. If you want to learn more about the Think Agile concepts, what is behind these components, because inside Think Agile, you have to understand, we as Lenovo, we are building everything inside ourselves. We do not depend on different storage vendors or whatever. It's a hybrid software-defined solution where we are software driving all the components as a final solution inside. And if you want to learn more about that, come to the booth and we can have a deeper discussion about how each of them are working, no matter if it is Nutanix, VMware, Azure Stack, or whatever. Thank you.
Uptime. Gentlemen, Q, just stay with us a minute. Fabulously interesting presentation. What I heard about was hybrid enablement. How do we help people navigate that transformation, that journey to the cloud? And it's not a binary shift, 100% on-premise, traditional, 100% public cloud. We have to have a journey, a roadmap, and you have a wonderful way of helping people take that journey based on what makes sense for them. The question I have, when we think about most of the people here who are hosters and looking at their transformation to become differentiated, you mentioned the challenge with lack of differentiation, to become an MSP, what are the challenges in that journey? Now, you're born there already, so it's a little bit different, but for the guys pair that going from traditional to the new world of MSP, what are the key challenges they have to navigate to get to successful MSP businesses?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the challenge I do see is that you are where you are because you might have been there for the past 10 years, right? And a lot of these companies has a big challenge to reinvent how they are going to do the daily work and serve the CIO to do the business enablement, which requires that the staff behind needs to do something else. They don't, so guys maybe defining, setting up systems, buying systems and recabling the stuff, powering up the systems and build up VMs and so on. They need to be able to shift into a more software-defined role.
Okay.
And that requires that you are actually able to understand how to do software integration and enable the services behind that towards a customer. So some kind of programming knowledge, whatever, just expanding your knowledge, not to be hardware-oriented, but software-oriented.
Okay, so that's very much at the technical capabilities level of the organization. Right. Very good. And that's a big barrier to transformation. Going back to the point that Søren made that came from, I think you said it was Gartner, that 97% of the challenge was to do with processes and people.
Yeah.
How has that been for you, growing from 0 to 75 employees in the space of 2 short years?
It's been exciting, I think is the right word. Of course, growing a company that fast has its own problems. So we're kind of building a company with the one hand, and with the other hand, we're trying to take care of the clients that comes in. But I would say, I mean, generally it all boils down to, and that goes for all of us, I mean, what kind of problems are enterprise companies having right now? We have to be able to help them with these problems. And these problems are not, at least from our point of view, they are not rooted in what kind of server they should buy to solve their problem.
It's not an IT issue anymore.
No, this is, as Per says, it's a software-based approach that you need to have. And as a part of that approach, we of course need hardware, Azure Stack being one of them, but that's not the dialogue we're having with enterprise right now. They want us to focus on the solutions. And back to the question you had to Per, I think that the most successful companies that we've been seeing adopting cloud services, they actually started a new company elsewhere than the original company. So a new digital IT setup far away from the traditional Mode 1 IT department.
Fabulously interesting. Why?
Because the IT that we've been building over the last 30 years, we've been used to operating things the way we learned to do it, ITIL processes, gated governance, etc. It's not going to work in a digital world. It just moves too slow. It costs so much money. We need rapid developments. We need to be able to try things out. And having the same guys control that as you have in the Mode 1 world, we've seen it several times. It just doesn't work. So you need 2 IT departments, basically, you could say. One handling the Mode 1. They're very good at that, and they will need to be good at that for the years to come. But you also need a different mindset within your company and within your organization. And that requires Mode 2 guys and girls coming from another world, which is as a service-based and mainly out of software.
Fabulously interesting message for us all. Change, we always think about how do we change our people from what they were to what we want them to become. Maybe that's a big ask for a lot of people. Maybe here we're changing the structure, changing the people, or putting new people into that structure and changing it at one level up, apart from the individuals. Very interesting. Please join me in thanking Søren and Per for a fabulously interesting Disrupt the Disruptor presentation. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.